Chapter 3. A Moonlit Night. It was midday when Ella awoke in the home of the seer. Oh, I fucked it up by moving that, my bad. Even though she had slept through the night and morning, it felt like she had only just gone to bed. Duncan was already awake, and sitting on his hind legs as he observed the rising princess. I just really relate to this. Ella stood up and walked around the tree trunk in the middle of the room to locate the seer. Ugh, he needs to fucking prune that. The front door opened, and Saxophilus, that really does sound like an STD, entered, carrying a sack which he dropped to the floor. Ah, Her Majesty is up. I was just about to wake you, for it is time to begin your journey home. Imagine, like, the first thing you do when someone wakes up is drop your ballsack on the floor. Like, that's just gross. Ella looked out at the sky and nodded, having not intended to stay here for this long. She needed to get back to her castle tonight, because her coronation was tomorrow. Indeed, the princess quickly packed her bag. I will walk with you to the river crossing, where you can pick up the trail. The seer grabbed a walking stick. Oh, there's no need, Ella said. That's 4 hours away. I must go that way anyway. Very well, thank you. They left the treehouse and crossed the bridge over the swamp. Ella descended the ladder of the willow tree, and Duncan was lowered onto the pulley. The trio walked through the grey forest in the direction of the brightness on its perimeter. They were soon in pleasant meadowland and ambled through the through the fields of crimson and lilac. I thought it said forest of crimson, but shit. Ella munched on a fruit, her breakfast, as they skirted the river. Now that they followed the sparkling water downstream, they could advance swiftly. Saxophilus, Ella, and Duncan reached the bridge in the mid-afternoon. The seer leaned off his staff and turned to the princess. You must cross this bridge of wood now, as opposed to a bridge of what? But tomorrow you must cross the bridge of ascension. Oh, I should really read the whole thing before I do it. I apologise. He chuckled. I wish you luck. Thank you. I appreciate everything that you said and done for me, Saxophilus. They embraced each other and bade farewell, after Saxophilus cupped a feel. The seer turned and hobbled west, while Ella and Duncan went east. Return journeys always seem quicker than outward journeys, and the pair progressed happily along the trail. Both the princess and the bulldog were keen to return to the luxury of their castle, and the hours elapsed without incident. It was early evening when they passed the roundhouse, that quaint stone tavern, but Ella decided not to go inside, because time was at a premium. Oh, hold on, I'll just mute Discord. It was early evening when they passed the roundhouse, the quaint stone tavern, but Ella decided not to go inside because time was at a premium. The woods were eerily quiet, and the pair had not seen a soul since the seer had left them. It was also cooler than yesterday, and the crispness intensified as the sun lowered beyond the peak. Half an hour after they passed the tavern, the dusk... Can I stop yawning? I'm not even tired. Maybe it's just this book, I don't know. Half an hour after they passed the tavern, the dusk began in earnest. And Ella soon realised that it was more unsettling than expected. The princess had never travelled through the woods at night, and has assumed that it would not be all that different to the day. But it was very different indeed. Fucking shocker. The darkness shrouded almost everything, and each sound became a potential lurking menace. The last chill of the spring became biting, and the two could see their breaths in front of them. The sounds of the forest changed as the creatures of the twilight emerged. Ella did not know whether they were birds or animals, but they made the most ghastly of sounds. Shrill screeches and frenzied titters. That does sound fucking terrifying. Duncan became anxious and trotted along so quickly that he was on the constant verge of breaking into a run. I just kind of imagine the super trot, like... They began to hear the swift, soft pattering of a creature's footsteps to their right. It was probably just a fox. Fucking Kaz Warfox again. Perhaps even a new friend. Ella thought optimistically. In a way, it was reassuring that the creature could be heard scuttering, because it meant that In a way, it was reassuring that the creature could be heard scuttering, because it made it less of an unknown. They then heard a similar pattern to the left of the trail. Can't stop yawning for 5 minutes, and Ella looked around, but saw nothing. She stopped, and the rustling stopped. The princess glanced down at her bulldog, who appeared scared. Ella considered returning to the tavern for the night after all, but it was quite a way back now, and scents wasn't her forte. Her coronation would begin tomorrow afternoon, and she would need all morning to get ready, so she could not take chances. The bright, full moon offered some encouragement, and they pressed on. As soon as they continued, the subtle scuttering continued. Ella sighed loudly and told herself that it was probably just a couple of curious creatures that had not seen people on the trail at this hour and were desperate for a snack. The sounds faded before disappearing, and Ella grinned down at Duncan. See? Nothing. The stone bridge could not be too far away, and from there it was only half an hour to the castle. Suddenly, the pattering commenced again on both sides, but now it sounded like 3 or 4 animals in total. Ella's smile inverted into a frown, and she increased her pace. And Duncan scurried along too, whilst frequently glancing into the dark woods. The princess started to sing, which annoyed the piss out of all the forest animals, and it made her feel a bit more confident, and might also have the effect of scaring the creatures away. Yeah, singing, that scares animals away. Twigs snapped as the minions of the night kept up with the pair's brisk pace. The period of silence between the sounds grew shorter until they were in constant presence. On all sides were the dexterous footsteps of 4-legged creatures against the forest floor. Ella and Duncan were now being pursued by several animals. Duncan started to whimper as he stared into the trees on his right. Ella followed his gaze and then screamed. 2 glinting eyes peered from down through the foliage. 2 glinting eyes peered from low down through the foliage. Ella looked around to see more sets of eyes glowing in the moonlight on the left, ahead and behind. The princess panicked and ran. The bulldog hurried along whilst frantically turning his head from side to side. Kick his legs from under him and then you can sacrifice him so you can get away. It's a simple solution, really, to this problem. Branches splintered and leaves flew across the trail as the shadowy stalkers gave chase. Oh, is it a self-insert time? Is this Richard stalking her? Suddenly one jumped out ahead. Bold as brass, the grey wolf stood and stared. Ella halted momentarily, but then continued running in the hope that it might frighten the animal. Yeah, running away from animals terrifies them. He was barely bigger than Duncan, and freezing in place would look like weakness. The predator let them pass, but pressed his nose against the sides of the scampering bulldog. Duncan reacted by snapping his large jaw, and the wolf backed off, but followed along with them into the woods. As Ella ran, she saw another wolf bounding through the thicket on her left. The princess screamed, and the nimble animal leapt from the verge and sunk his teeth into her boot. Fangs pierced the wet leather, but missed Ella's foot by a fraction of an inch as she felt smooth enamel sliding along the edge of her skin. Okay, I don't really get how that works, but okay. The princess swung her staff at her assailant, but he barely flinched. Ella hopped on her free foot as she tried to pull away, but the wolf's jaw was clamped on her boot. Two more of the grey stalkers circled around Duncan, though his growling kept them at bay. As Ella flailed, she stumbled backwards over the root of a tree and fell in a supine position? Supine? What? Is that a real word? Okay, a supine position, before she had gained the wherewithal to get back up. The wolf, which had been clinging to her boot, pounced, and in a flash was on top of her. The princess brandished her stick at the snarling menace, but he gripped the wood shaft in his teeth. Another wolf sprung from Ella's right and bit her shoulder. It was happening so quickly that she was no longer scared, she just watched it happen. The princess could only struggle on the ground, and it was a struggle that seemed certain to lose. She seemed certain to lose. But then she heard a male voice. Tava! The predator that had bitten Ella glanced around sheepishly, and confident pose receded. Let her go, commanded the voice from the woods. Lino, get off her. The wolf on the princess leapt off, and both of the lupine assailants backed away while whimpering. Ella scrambled to her feet. The wolves that surrounded Duncan also ceased their threatening behaviour. A figure appeared in the moonlight. He was a tall man with a shaggy mop of hair on his head. He wore a leather tunic down to his knees. He was muscular. Down to his knees, and his muscular, veiny calves were visible below. His upper body was comparatively slender, though well defined, and he held a spear in one hand. He waved the weapon, and several wolves retreated into the forest edge. The man stepped closer, and Ella could see his face clearly. He had blue eyes, scars on both cheeks, and stubble on his small chin. Are you all right? He asked in a dull tone. Just about, said the princess, breathing quickly as she clutched her wounded shoulder. Her heart was beating fast, and she felt like she had cheated death. I think you just saved my life. The athletic figure shrugged. Well, it was my fault for letting him chase you in the first place. I just thought it was fucking hilarious. Ella suddenly frowned. These wolves are yours? She glanced at Poot's stained dress. No, what gave you that fucking idea, apart from the fact that when he called out their names they stopped attacking you? The fact that they're fucking named and that they responded to his voice would imply that. Why would you even need to ask it, you stupid bitch? Indeed. An expression of exasperation came over the princess, her large eyes glowering as she scowled. Do you know who I am? No, milady. I am Ella Tundra, Princess of Celtia, and soon to be the Queen. Oh, well, I certainly did not know that. The shaggy-haired man put his spear down on the ground as a mark of respect. Why are you travelling alone like a fucking idiot? I was not. I was travelling with my dog, Ella pointed at her bulldog and quivered. The tall man stepped back. I'm sorry, Your Highness. Is there any way that I can help you not get yourself killed? Because you seem so intent on it, I might as well not fucking bother. I can bandage that wound if you would like to come with me. Ella's face contorted. Why on earth would I want to come with you? I could have you in prison for letting your wolves attack me. Yeah, that's right, threaten him with imprisonment so he has no fucking incentive to save your life. Genius move, princess. Aces, you're going to make a fantastic queen. A light appeared on the trail, growing brighter as it approached. The trotting of hooves and the whining of a horse were heard. An errant knight appeared, riding a white steed and holding a flaming torch in one hand. His hair was long and blonde. He wore a suit of armour with a navy cape. Oh, there's another fucking new character now. The mounted man looked down in surprise. Is everything all right here? No. My lady, you're bleeding. The knight dismounted his horse. The princess clutched her shoulder and pouted at the handsome fellow before glaring at the shadowy figure by the woods. This vagabond's wolves attacked me. They stalked me along the trail. Hey, I saved her from them. You saved me from your own wolves. The lady is hurt, said the knight in a patronizing tone. He pulled a vial from his pocket and poured its contents over Ella's wounds before applying a white covering. The white covering was salt. The wolfman backed into the darkness with his animals, whilst the blonde gent's strong hands applied finishing touches to Ella's bandages. Where are you going, miss? To the grave, most likely. Oh, you live in a castle? Indeed, I am a princess, Ella of Tundra. Your name's Ella Tundra, not Ella of Tundra, you stupid bin. Stop trying to sound more sophisticated than you actually are. The knight fell into a stunned silence, whilst Ella looked at the moon and fluttered her eyelashes. Please accept my humblest apologies for not greeting your royal grace correctly, the armor man kneeled. It's alright, you weren't to know. Bitch, he just fucking saved you from gangrene and possibly rabies. I don't think the fucking royal courtesy bullshit's really important anymore. I am Sir Tarrant Lynyard of the Order of the Sacred Rose, he bowed. I was expecting this guy's name to be fucking Richard Britton because he self-inserts a lot. Whatever your royal grace requires of me, I shall dutifully perform it. You know what I'd do as a twist? Have a fucking self-insert who's basically Hans from Frozen, and just fucking throw the audience like, oh yeah, he's gonna get the girl and he's gonna be the hero because he's the fucking self-insert, and then the self-insert turns out to be the biggest cunt in the entire story. There, brilliant. I'll win the fucking Pulitzer for that. Well, I just need to get to my castle as soon as possible. I have an important date tomorrow, and I need rest. Then I shall take you to your castle if your grace would, but... Sorry, this is a weird sentence. Then I shall take you to your castle if your grace would but tell me the way. Tarrant, I hate that name, adjusted the saddle on his horse. There is a stone bridge not far from here, Ella said. If you could take me there, I can walk the hill up to my castle, but your horse would struggle in such woods. Very well, your highness, the knight helped the princess onto the white steed. Thank you, Ella sat on the leather saddle, and the knight positioned himself in front. Don't go too quickly, please, Ella requested as they trotted through the trail. My bulldog can't run very fast, and we can't just put him on the back of the fucking horse. Tarrant glanced down at the stocky canine and booted it across the face. To the knight's broad, metal-plated shoulder. Wait, what about the wolf guy? Did he just... when he's backed up, I thought he backed up. I didn't think he just full-on backed off. I have not heard of the Order of the Sacred Rose. Are they based within this realm? Tarrant shook his head. No, I just made them up so you'd be stupid enough to trust me and get on my horse. I'm actually just a serial rapist in armour. Oh shit, said Ella, and she was never seen again. No, the order stretches over many realms, but I am just passing through this one, actually. It was not long before they arrived at the limestone bridge. Tarrant looked into the woods on their left. My horse would indeed struggle to get through those trees, but we can try. It's all right, Ella said. I would be quicker walking. The knight aligned from his steed and helped the princess down. Let me leave my horse here and walk you to the castle then. Now don't be silly, we'll be fine. Are you certain? Yes, most certain. You have been very helpful, Sir Tarrant. At least take my torch. It will make your task much simpler. He offered her the flaming stick. Ella's brow creased. Will you not need it? The moon is bright tonight and shines upon the trail, but in the woods you could struggle without a light. If you're sure, Ella happily received the torch. Thank you. Tarrant and Ella were confined enough that the vagabond's wolves had not followed them, because they had not heard anything since riding. I hope we meet again one day, said the knight. So these characters have just come and gone from the story in like 2 pages. But I also find it kind of funny that the vagabond dude whose wolves attacked her He's like blamed like he fucking sicked them on her, when in actuality they just sort of got out of hand whilst hunting. I get what, like, she's just been attacked, but she's being a bit of a bitch about it, given that, like, you know, he clearly didn't fucking mean it, but whatever. Goodbye, Sir Tarrant. Farewell, he said, and she trusts him way more than... Farewell, he said, and pulled the reins of his white horse as he gallops away. Tarrant's navy cape flew up to reveal the back of his armour. A metallic engraving glinted into the moonlight. And a metallic engraving glinted into the moonlight, and Ella's eyes widened. She saw his assless chaps. She saw a red rose with a golden snake coiled around its green stem. Wait, Ella called, but it was too late. The night vanished into the darkness of the night. The thumping of hooves quietened, and then there was silence. Oh, he's the guy from the prophecy, is he? Ella muttered, glancing at Duncan as they entered the woods to begin a gentle ascent. They had heavy legs, and their bodies ached, but they were eager to get home. The princess and the bulldog ambled through those same pleasant woods in which they had started their quest 2 days ago. Owls hooted, and Ella could soon see the faint lights of her castle through the thickets. Her walk turned into a jog, and Duncan also bounded excitedly as he sensed that home was near. As Ella strode towards the tower in which she had lived for most of her life, she thought about the rose engraving on the back of the knight's armour. It was strikingly similar in appearance to her key, and Ella sighed in frustration at having missed the opportunity to ask about it. Had it been any other evening, she could have invited the handsome Sir Tarrant back to her castle, but tomorrow was the most important day of her life, and the queen-to-be needed her beauty sleep. Trust me, there aren't enough hours in the day. When she reached the rear wall, Ella used a metal key to open an ivy-covered stone door. The weary pair ascended the spiral staircase and entered Ella's colourful bedchamber. The princess flopped on her pink bed, and the bulldog slumped in his wicker basket. What colour was the wicker basket? Both fell asleep at once. Well, that's a short chapter. Right, so she's met two guys, and she's immediately figured out which one to simp for. I'm kind of interested to know, like, if he's the guy from the prophecy or not, but I guess we'll see. Yeah, so that was this week's fucking edition of The World Rose.
Wat je nou keurig hebt,